Many of us grew up with a specific image of the afterlife, a final day of judgment where good deeds are weighed against sin. But ancient esoteric traditions describe a very different reality. In Gnosticism and the Egyptian mysteries, the space beyond death is a complex, bureaucratic labyrinth, a structured gauntlet patrolled by terrifying cosmic gatekeepers. Navigating this realm has nothing to do with passive piety. Survival depends entirely on Gnosis, the possession of direct, experiential knowledge that allows a soul to recognize the true nature of its environment. These traditions suggest that the universe operates through rigid, deterministic laws, and escaping the material world requires a specific sequence of ritual declarations to maintain sovereignty over these cosmic forces. Gnostic cosmology maps the universe as 7 concentric planetary spheres surrounding Earth. To return to the divine source, a soul must ascend through each layer. Each boundary is patrolled by an archon, hostile, animal-headed governors serving as wardens of the material matrix. The outermost boundary of this prison sits at the sphere of Saturn. This is the domain of the chief demiurge, Yaldabaoth, characterized by heavy gravity, crushing restriction, and the binding laws of time. These governors utilize human fear and biological cravings to keep consciousness anchored to the physical world. Ascension becomes a matter of neutralizing these forces, asserting one's identity against the structural mechanisms of fate. The Nag Hammadi Library functions as a collection of survival blueprints. These texts contain the exact verbal protocols a soul must use to navigate the interrogation of the archons. In the first Apocalypse of James, Jesus provides his brother with a verbatim script. He details the specific phrasing required to answer the cosmic toll collectors when they attempt to intercept the soul's ascent. The core of the strategy involves declaring a lineage that predates the material creation. By identifying as a son of the pre-existent father, the soul asserts an origin that the local archons have no authority to govern. A different approach appears in the Gospel of Mary. When challenged by the power of desire, the soul describes its earthly passions as a mere garment. By objectifying the desire, the soul detaches from the energetic pull of the matrix. These formulas function by exposing the gatekeeper's limited authority. When the soul demonstrates it understands the structural simulation it is trapped in, the archon's defensive programming becomes paralyzed. This map of a bureaucratic, multi-gated afterlife appears across multiple civilizations. Ancient Egyptian texts describe the Duat as a similarly secured labyrinth, filled with portals that require specific knowledge to open. Egyptian initiates learned the secret names of every doorpost and lintel. Naming the guardian demon by its true name stripped the entity of its objective power, forcing the gates of the Duat to swing open. In the Tibetan Bardo Thodol, the soul encounters the 58 wrathful deities, terrifying, blood-drinking monsters that appear in the intermediate state after death. The Tibetan protocol involves a radical act of recognition. The deceased is instructed to look at these monsters and declare that they are nothing but the radiant play of their own unpurified consciousness. When these 3 traditions are placed side by side, a universal vulnerability emerges. The moment a soul consciously recognizes the source of an external threat, the illusion of that threat's power is destroyed. These ancient warnings suggest that we encounter this cosmic gauntlet long before we die. We step onto the bottom rungs of this ladder every single night during the sleep cycle. During REM sleep, the brainstem releases neurotransmitters that chemically lock down the skeletal muscles to prevent us from moving. This is REM atonia, but if the conscious mind wakes up while the body is still paralyzed, the experience becomes a waking nightmare. When the amygdala senses this paralysis, it triggers a survival panic. In the absence of external sensory data, the brain projects a terrifying shadow person or night hag into the room to explain the sensation of being pinned down. This entity behaves exactly like the first Gnostic gatekeeper, Horios, the ruler of the lunar sphere and the guardian of the immediate threshold between the physical and the subtle realms. The shadow figure reported in modern bedrooms aligns precisely with the boundary guardians described in these ancient texts. It is an entity born of our own survival panic at the gates of the matrix. To navigate this state, practitioners use the WILD protocol, Wake Initiated Lucid Dreaming. This is a method of maintaining an unbroken thread of consciousness while the physical body drops into sleep. By focusing on a continuous internal vowel chant, a practitioner creates an auditory anchor. This sound keeps the mind alert while the brain's sensory gates begin to close to the outside world. At the moment of sensory detachment, a practitioner performs an identity inversion. By recognizing the physical frame as a completely inert shell, the mind neutralizes the material gravity that usually pulls the soul into an unconscious dream state. Once inside the dream bardo, any unintegrated fear will manifest as a demonic figure. In this state, the practitioner utilizes linguistic warfare, confronting the nightmare and declaring its true name as a reflection of the self. Mastering these declarations during sleep rewrites the deepest neural code of the subconscious. It ensures that when we finally face the cosmic gauntlet of death, our consciousness will not panic in the dark. We will recognize the gatekeepers, speak our piece, and effortlessly walk right through.